when I've had a chance in the past to share some of these ideas with individuals, they say, Bob, sounds great. Yeah, I've been guilty of that. But what the heck do I say? What we're going to coach to in this session is a formula, real world, time tested to take all the guesswork out of the equation. Now, I have a definition for a formula. I don't know if you're going to find it in Webster. Probably not. But here's my definition: specific, repeatable actions that produce predictable, desired results. Let me give that to you one more time. Specific, repeatable actions producing predictable, desired results. So the formula that we're going to coach to, it's just 3 steps. I'm going to give you all 3, and then we're going to break this down. So the first one is we're going to establish some credibility right up front. Number 2 is we want to say something that's going to spark some curiosity. See, one of the godfathers, if you will, of the advertising industry has a famous quote, and he says, the purpose of the headline is to get you to read the next line. I like that. I think it fits real well right here. So we're going to follow this 3-step formula. Number 1, establish credibility. Number 2, spark some curiosity. And here's where we're going to make money. We're going to include a gracious call to action with a clear next step. I call this the 3x5 rule. And I'd love to tell you that this came from some carefully crafted scientific algorithm. But like most things, no. The real stuff, it comes out of trial and error, from doing it wrong again and again and again and figuring out, how do I do it right? How do I craft a message that gets someone to reconnect with me, to actually read it and take action with realistic expectations? It came from 3x5 index cards. So here's an exercise I'd like you to consider doing. Now, whether you pause the video or you pause the audio right now and you grab some index cards, that's up to you. Watch this thing till the end and you decide if this is worth doing. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 index cards. We're going to craft a message that is a total of 5 sentences. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, Bob, that's way too short. I've got a lot more to say there. Remember stumbling block number 1? We're not trying to sell by email. We're trying to communicate a simple message that makes it easy for them to reconnect. So here's what it could look like. On index card number 1, we're going to write down just 1 sentence. Now this sentence, the only purpose of this sentence is to establish credibility. Here's what you don't have to say. You don't have to say that you work for a Fortune 500 company. If you do, they probably already know that. You don't have to say I work for a Fortune 5,000 company. You don't have to say our company's been around since 1912. The only people that care about those things already work for your company. You don't have to say that as a broker, I'm licensed in blah, blah, blah. Now's not the time for you to talk about how great you are. It simply wants to connect with them that this is a one-to-one message. Could sound like, I just received your request for information, or I'm hoping you can point me in the right direction. When we think about establishing credibility, it could be as simple as, during the last 5 years, I've noticed that everyone looks into financial services for different reasons. During the last 5 years, I've noticed that everyone looks into whatever you sell for different reasons. That's establishing some credibility right up front, right? They've requested some information, or that you know that people look into what you sell for different reasons. So that's the first sentence on the first card. On the second index card, we want to spark some curiosity, right? The purpose of the headline is to get you to read the next line. It could sound like this. Sometimes people tell me that they're looking at what it is that you sell because of this reason or because of that reason. And one of the biggest questions that people have is, so let's stop right there. What is it that you sell? What service or product do you provide? When you have a chance to meet somebody, let's say at a social event, and they say, what do you do for a living? And you tell them, what's the most common question that people ask you? Couple of examples. I have a client that sells aircraft hangars. Whenever he has a chance to tell somebody what it is he does, he works for a company that actually builds aircraft hangars. They say, who buys those? So think about that in terms of sparking curiosity. One of the biggest questions that people have is, who buys aircraft hangars and why. I have some other clients that corporate wide, they sell printing services. And when they tell somebody what it is they do for a living, one of the questions they get is, how much does it cost to blah, blah, blah? We could easily load some of these questions in there, and they're common questions, and odds are pretty good that the person you're writing that email to, and again, it doesn't matter if it's going out to one person or to 1,000 people, it needs to read as though it's one-on-one. So one of the biggest questions that people have is, now we're going to include on the third index card, a gracious call to action with a clear next step, right? So gracious call to action. It could be, check out this quick 3-minute video I put together. It offers some great tips. Check out this PDF. Check out this report. Check out this website. It's a gracious call to action. And what we're looking for here is what I like to call the shy yes. Here's what a shy yes is. It's something that I can do, which by my doing it doesn't set off all the alarm bells. Let me stop right there. Your competition, amateur salespeople, their call to action is what? Pick up the phone and call me. If you have any questions, send me an email. Take your salesperson hat off for a second and put your good fit prospect hat on. The only reason that you would pick up the phone and call is if you're ready to hear a sales presentation. The only reason that you would reply back to that email is if you're ready to start a conversation about what it is that person sells and what do you know is going to happen next. Right. They want to send you samples. They want to meet with you, or they want to do all this stuff. What if the person that's reading this email isn't quite ready to engage at that level yet for whatever reason? Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're reading your message right now and they're interested, but they can't stop what they're doing and have a conversation with you. This shy yes is something that's easy to do and gets them further engaged. So it could be, check out this video. It could be, here's a free report. Go to this website. Something that they can do that gets them further engaged, but doesn't set off all the alarm bells. That you might be saying, wait a minute, Bob, I want to know when they go to this website, or I want to know when they check out this video. So I notify, well, okay. The problem is that they also know all those things exist. And they may not want to jump right into a sales conversation. So we want a gracious call to action with a clear next step. Now, here's what that clear next step looks like. I'm going to call you on Tuesday around 2:00. Now, if this doesn't work, or if you'd like to talk sooner, my number is, and we have a couple moving pieces here. I'm going to call you on Tuesday around 2:00. What we're doing is we're staying in control over the next time we speak. We're letting them know, here's what's going to happen as a result of my sending you this email. Now, we're going to dig into some real specific things that you can share when it comes to a gracious call to action. And when we talk about crush it with voicemail, we're going to dig a lot deeper onto this concept of staying in control the next time you speak.